So Michael, if I can jump back to you, super funds are always looked at and held up as being the perfect investors in major infrastructure, and certainly First State Super has made some significant investments over the last little while, and we've certainly enjoyed having the opportunity to help you with one or two of those. But what can the federal government do to drive even more of that investment? I think everyone agrees that there's a critical shortage, I should say, of infrastructure in Australian infrastructure investment. What can the federal government do to really incentivise the super funds to make larger scale and more regular investments in infrastructure projects right across Australia?
Look, they do. A lot of the mechanisms are in place now, and as I said, you've got a lot of capital at the moment chasing fewer and fewer assets. So right at this time, and you can understand state governments and others. I mean, when you put something on the auction block and it goes for way beyond the price that you expect, that can do an enormous amount of good for the individual budgets you're talking about. But certainly the critical role played by Infrastructure Australia is one in terms of identifying the key targets, and they're getting quality feedback from the states about what projects they need to put into that mix. My own view, and we've been talking to a number of funds about this, is to establish a pipeline really of funds that are available, because it's a very expensive process every time you start looking at a major infrastructure asset. It's the legal costs alone would blow you out of water, but that's another story. But, oh, that much, sorry. So, but yeah, at the moment it is a very, very costly bidding process. I think if we could streamline it and have patient capital, which is what super funds represent, I mean, it's your members' money, it's people in this room's money, to spend a lot of it every time you go to the auction block on the actual bid costs, is probably something that's repetitive and doesn't need to take place if we could actually establish a pipeline of funding. And create a true partnership too. I mean, one of the things I'd like to say to the people in this room is big super funds are potential partners. We are open for business. We need to have conversations. When you're as big as the top 10 funds, you can't have conversations on $500,000 or $2 million investments, but you can on 50 and 100 million and so forth. And I think we need to hear from industry about what those good projects are so that we don't miss out on those opportunities. We won't say yes to every one of them, but it's about a relationship, it's about a conversation, so that's where we need to start. And I think the same in terms of infrastructure, both at the state level and the federal level, is to have those ongoing discussions. And I must say I've found that the communication channels get better and better as people start to understand. And as I said, we are a popular destination for overseas sovereign funds and funds out of the US where their cost of capital is much different. So they're looking for opportunities in Australia. You only have to look around the Darling Harbour precinct and Barangaroo and so forth, that they are very, very attractive sites.